Imagine if the very thing you do to protect your power is what guarantees you'll lose it. Kronos ruled the universe, but he ruled it terrified of a prophecy, terrified of his own children, terrified of the future. But the harder he tried to escape that fate, the more he locked himself into it. Kronos looks at the child in his hands and already knows what he's going to do. For Kronos, that child wasn't built with innocence, but a threat to his kingdom. So he didn't act of kindness, but fear. There was no argument, no hesitation, no visible emotion on his face. He didn't see his son. He already saw a future he's been warned about. So he swallowed the child whole. To Kronos, it wasn't cruelty. It was prevention, a necessary act to protect the throne he fought so hard to claim. He tells himself, this is how you stay empowered. This is how you stop betrayal before it ever begins. But even as he convinced himself he had done the right thing, something felt wrong. Because the prophecy hasn't gone quiet, and somewhere, without him knowing it yet, the future he's trying to destroy is already slipping out of his control. Before Kronos became known as a tyrant, he was seen as a liberator. The universe was ruled by his father, Uranus, a sky god who crushed anything that threatened his authority. Kronos rose up against him, overthrew him violently, and took control of the cosmos. At the time, it felt like the end of an oppressive era. But that moment planted a dangerous idea into the world. If a son could overthrow a father, then power was never truly safe. That idea followed Kronos into his reign. When a prophecy appeared claiming one of his own sons would overthrow him the same way he overthrew Uranus, Kronos didn't question it. He didn't dismiss it as superstition. He believed it immediately. And that belief shaped every decision he made after. Instead of seeing his children as heirs, he saw them as threats waiting to grow. So each time his wife Rhea gave birth, Kronos acted quickly. He swallowed the child the moment it was born, convincing himself that he was being practical, not cruel. For a while, it seemed to work. The throne stayed his. The prophecy hadn't come true, but fear doesn't disappear when you obey it. With every child Kronos devoured, his grip on power didn't tighten. It weakened. Instead of feeling safer, he became more alert, more suspicious, more reactive. The prophecy stopped being something he feared occasionally and turned into something he measured every decision against. He began to see threats everywhere, and silence felt dangerous. Calm felt temporary. Any moment without reassurance felt like a warning he might be missing something. Kronos didn't rule anymore. He monitored. He watched. He second-guessed himself constantly, replaying the same question in his mind. What if one survived? Rhea, his wife, noticed the change long before anyone else did. She watched Kronos stop ruling with confidence and start ruling with control. His decisions became sharper, faster, and colder. He wasn't protecting the throne anymore. He was guarding it. By the time she became pregnant again, Rhea knew exactly what would happen. There would be no discussion, no hesitation. This child would disappear the same way the others had. So she intervened. She hid the newborn far from Kronos' reach, in a place where fear couldn't follow him. Then she wrapped a stone in cloth and placed it in Kronos' hands. But just like every time before, he swallowed it without looking. Fear had trained him not to question his own actions. For the first time in years, Kronos told himself it was over. The prophecy was finished. The threat was gone. He believed he had finally outsmarted fate, but the relief never came. Even after doing everything he thought was necessary, the unease remained. Something still felt unfinished. The prophecy still echoed in his mind, not because it was true yet, but because fear doesn't disappear once you obey it. Deep down, Kronos understood the truth he refused to face. You can delay the future. You can hide from it, but you can't erase it just because you're afraid. The turning point didn't arrive in the form of an attack. It arrived as a realization. While Kronos continued ruling the universe, the child he failed to destroy was growing up in hiding. Zeus, he wasn't raised as a prince. He was raised knowing that the world he would inherit was built on fear and control. By the time Zeus returned, Kronos was already weakened by his own paranoia. And when Zeus forced him to release the children he had swallowed, the damage was irreversible. Kronos didn't just lose physical control in that moment, he lost credibility. The image of an untouchable ruler shattered in front of everyone. Once that happened, there was no returning to the old order. The prophecy was no longer a warning, it was unfolding. What followed wasn't just a war between gods and titans, it was a reckoning. Kronos gathered the titans and tried to hold on to what he had left, but fear had already done its damage. The loyalty around him was thin, built on intimidation rather than trust. Zeus, meanwhile, was doing the opposite. He was building alliances, learning when to lead and when to listen, understanding that power survives through cooperation, not isolation. As the war dragged on, it became clear that this wasn't just a battle of strength. It was a test of leadership. The fighting stretched across the world, not because either side was evenly matched, but because Kronos refused to accept that control was slipping away. Mountains were torn apart, the sky filled with fire and lightning. Entire regions were reshaped as the old order resisted collapse. But through it all, Kronos slowly realized the truth. He wasn't losing because of fate. He was losing because fear had hollowed him out. When the final confrontation came, it wasn't dramatic because of the spectacle. He fought offensively, reacting instead of leading. Every move was driven by fear of losing ground rather than confidence in holding it. The Titans still followed him, but their loyalty was built on intimidation, not belief. And as defeats piled up, that loyalty weakened. Zeus, on the other hand, adapted. He coordinated. He trusted others to act without needing to dominate every decision. Over time, the difference became impossible to ignore. Kronos wasn't losing because the prophecy demanded it. He was losing because fear had stripped him of flexibility, trust, and vision. By the time the final confrontation came, the outcome was already set. Not because of destiny, but because of consequence. This wasn't dramatic because of spectacle alone. It was dramatic because of what it represented. A father facing the son he tried to erase. A ruler forced to confront the result of every choice he made to protect his throne. There was no trick left, no delay, no place to hide. Kronos fell. With him, the Titans collapsed. The ruler who once controlled everything was stripped of his power and removed from the world he tried to dominate. Some traditions say he was imprisoned. Others say he was cast into darkness. But every version agrees on the same ending. He lost. What Kronos gained from his choices was time, a few extra years on the throne, a temporary sense of safety. What he lost was far greater, his children, the trust of those around him, and any chance of ruling without fear. The prophecy didn't destroy Kronos, it only revealed what fear had already done. With Kronos gone, the world moved on. A new generation took control. A new order replaced the old one. The age of the Titans ended, not with peace, but with exhaustion. Kronos faded from power, but not from memory. His story lived on as a warning. A ruler who believed control could replace trust. A king who thought fear could secure the future. The throne survived without him, but the shadow of his choices remained. Kronos is remembered as a tyrant, but the myth leaves something unresolved. Was he cruel by nature, or was he shaped by fear? He tried to escape fate by destroying his future. Instead, he guaranteed it. But his story leaves behind an uncomfortable truth. Sometimes the thing that destroys us isn't destiny. It's what we become while trying to avoid it.